We are in discussion with for kind of dual design pattern. Design patterns, those are similar to each other, okay, but they are they are orthogonal in the sense they are far away from each other. So this is the discussion that we are carrying on. So we'll see the facet design pattern and adapter design pattern. Okay. So a facet design pattern, we have uh, uh, okay. So the scenario we talked. So like I have so many computers, and then or I can consider as a railway reservation server. So if I go and think about reserving a berth in the train, and someone gives me the all the servers in place to reserve a berth, probably I would not able to do it. Means many synchronization, and then it will require so many parameters and to fill in to get to reserve a berth. So not possible. Means no one can do the railway reservation just sitting in front of all the servers terminal going to each server or connecting to each server and doing the reservation. So the simplest is what railway department do it. It gives you very simple form. You fill the train number, you fill the train number, you fill the date, and that's it. Or you go to the counter, you say in this train, I want the reservation. That's it. So this is facet means train department, the railway department gives the interface to the client that is so simple to use. But behind the scene, it does all the kind of gory computations to get our birth result. So this is facet design. So facet design pattern comes as a containment where the facet that is facing the client provides simple interfaces, and behind the scene it is using all the complex activity to deal with all the servers and framework or supercomputer that deal with the weather and those kind of things, all the balloons and then all the supercomputer servers. No one can go to and sit in front of hundreds of supercomputer computers and see all the balloon conditions, satellite condition, and they come out with the weather report. Not possible. So one facet would be there, some very simple interface. Just click here and say on this date, I want the weather report. Then it will give you the weather report. So facet design pattern is a container design pattern. It contains all the classes behind the scene, and then it provides the service. This is delegation. We talked about composition, aggregation, delegation, association, and dependency. So it falls in delegation, okay, and it is aggregation. If facet class die, it doesn't mean that all the backend servers would die. It's a aggregation. So server is inside the facet class as a contained object, and it is delegation. So if client say to facet that I don't want, you can give me all the links of the server, I would do my own. It would never give. So we really don't know what are the interfaces that the patient is kind of handling or manipulating. It just gives the interfaces that client has to use. Okay, it never talks to client also what you want. It thinks that these are the interfaces that client should use, and then internally it delegates all those requests to the contained classes and contained all the entities. So this is facet design. So it's a container and delegation. What about adapter design? We should like a power adapter. Okay. So if I have a power adapter and power, okay, like this is a power adapter, and then it has this plug going to the power, and then client is using this 5 volt. Okay, it modifies this 230 volt to 5 volt because this is the interface kind of okay. So this is Indian kind of pins, whereas this pin typically comes from outside the country. Now, since in India, if no kind of uh, we need kind of which would so I have a plug here, but the board wants this. Okay, the cable that I have, I cannot place in the board because it doesn't support. So this is a kind of adapter I place here, and then this is the interface for Indian board, and this is the interface to the foreign made kind of whatever the power we use, and this is to Indian board. So this is a kind of adapter. So adapter is a also they look similar. Means if we see facet and adapter, they look similar. They changes the whatever is behind the scene and whatever is coming to the client. So facet show different thing to the client and behind the scene is different. Like adapter shows different thing to the client, but behind the scene things are different. But if we see adapter and facet design, it is orthogonal, way different. Okay, the interface what adapter provides, so that interface client wants. In facet, whatever client want, that interface facet doesn't provide. Facet provide interfaces what facet thinks it is correct, and it is containment. Whereas here in the adapter design pattern, it provides the interfaces to the client what client wants. Client wants the interfaces that adapter kind of provide. Internally, it modifies those interfaces calls to the base interface that it is adopting. One thing. Second difference is it inherits whatever the interface. So if this is the kind of adapter and this is the client and this is the base behind the scene, then this class is derived by this class. So this is derived class, this is derived class, and this is parent class. It derives privately. So derived class is going to the client, and when client calls its function, then it is inside those functions, it is manipulating the call, and then accordingly it calls the base class function. So this is the way it is doing the adapter method. So facet design pattern and adapter design pattern, they look similar, but one is inheritance, that is adapter, inherits privately, and one is containment. Inside the containment, uh, the facet design pattern uses delegation and aggregation, and whereas it is an inheritance, private inheritance, but it is not. It is implementation. We can say kind of, but it is not in interface realization. So where from? So it derives from a particular interface. It derives from a particular class, which itself is a concrete class. Okay, it provides service, but it is not usable by the client. So it derives privately from it, and then whatever the method it provides, that those interfaces that client uses, but those interfaces are decided by the client, not by the architect. So client says, I want these interfaces, those interfaces. So architect need to sit with the client and say that what interfaces you want. If that is the case, then it shows those interfaces to the client, and then behind the scene, that class derived from the a concrete class, and then it does the kind of delegating the call or recalculating all the calls and calling the base class. So this is adapter design pattern, inheritance, facet design pattern, containment. Second thing is adapter design pattern. Client decide for the interface method what it wants, but in facet, the architect design what method it should expose to the client. So these two are a similar looking design pattern because we change the actual class to the new class that is facing to the client, that is different. to the actual class. But it is way, way different. One is inheritance and one is containment. In containment also, that is delegation. And here, it is pure inheritance. And inside the inheritance, then we use kind of delegation, we can say, where each call to the exposed interface to the client, when client calls those interfaces, then internally we do some computation and then we think that what base interfaces that we can call. So this is adapter and this is facet design pattern. We have already talked about five types of containment. So in inheritance, two kind of inheritance generally we do. One is deriving from a concrete class, or other is realization of an interface. So here in the interface, in the inheritance category in the adapter, we derive from the concrete class and then we call those methods of the base class appropriately, but we don't realize it. So inheritance also two kind generally we do, and there is nothing polymorphic here. So there is nothing virtual here. So derivation can also happen through virtual way also, where we have diamond kind of architecture. But here there is nothing polymorphism, there is nothing realization. So one is pure inheritance, that is kind of implementing one base class, kind of extending one base class. So we can extend one base class, or we can kind of implement a base class, we can realize a base interface. So this is kind of extending. So in inheritance, if we think about extending, implementing and realization, then it is extension. So this is about similar looking class, adapter and facet, but they are orthogonal in the sense they are way, way different to each other. So please use it carefully.